Lands. The lands green. The roads paved. Waves of religious refugees, perhaps, soon to resume. The winter. Longer than usual. Allegedly. If you read the sagas, clearly we've had longer before. And we're on the verge. Various additional breakthroughs in terms of economy and law. And fully blocked out of additional colonies. That's fine. The road is open to trade. We will bring them the teeth. It will give us the lumber. Currently dealing with the absolutism crisis. On course to resolve things. Things feel off about this. Is this the absolutely most recent save? It's autosave on quit. The increasingly obsolete second Greenland that was briefly engaged with. (1946). Yep, seems to be the furthest along iteration of teeth. The lad will audit the data. He is ready to inspect the map. Alright, I'm gonna turn taxes back on. Just to wait. So, need 56% satisfaction. Six, five. Oh, that'll let us hit those equilibriums at about the right time. The fleet is almost figuring out how to patrol through the winter without having the front fall off. Big news for the fleet. Port them across the fjord into the proper harbor. Books. Okay, maybe the big pile of refugees was it an immediate spike rather than a prolonged Wave. No, currently only the residue from the Gallic refugees are still here. Strange. Did the Pope erect a force field to prevent people from leaving Europe? Item research queue. Oh, right. That's what threw things off. Yes. The previous session ended when the wood equation was solved. And then shortly afterwards, my power went out. Perhaps due to the energy released by the wood equation. Strange prophetic dream. Splitting the wood atom. So we are at but also so that was the effort to liberalize. Now I want you on change values or plutocracy. And even if the event doesn't fire again successfully, knowing it exists relieves the dread of having been cut off from rivalries. That the wars will generate their own waves of people yearning to be green. Magnus needs his research funding or he'll die. Poor ailing Magnus. Yeah, it's worthwhile. That creates a small loan that can be rapidly paid off. Loans of 50 coin at a time. You know, the map osmosis continues to slowly show us more of the world. See, if the roads were properly paved, you could just take a fish and throw it down and it would slide to its destination. attach little sails to the sleds. And send the food right back. Okay, once more the wood equation is solved. Alchemists have opened the vessel containing the distilled wood. And all is well. We got that research funding into Magnus. Previous timeline destroyed because Magnus didn't get his chance to publish his rebuttal of the wood equation. Birds continue to assail my window. The lad is vigilant. Fleet has auto-docked in Garther. You feel the land is not yet green enough. Go to the barrier. Climb the wall. Follow the wind. Follow the voices. The greenest land is at the very top of the shelf. For only the worthy. Okay, we're close to the satisfaction thresholds. And we've had the minimum duration, so this crisis will end soon. Allowing everyone to relax. Overall, food supplies remain pretty good. Such devastation. Which, with the crisis over, have 80 legitimacy. Okay, so we just need to very slightly polish up the crown before we can officially spike it into a crevasse. Formalize the election process. Generalize the election process. Colombian Exchange keeps trying to offer me. Trying to offer me things it can never give. It's a reasonably big land if you include all the disputed territory with its neighbors. As rightful big land. Perhaps someday we'll fight over it. Okay, there we go. Become public. And let's see how many things break as a result. New rights of the nobility must be assigned. Because they're, the idea of a noble electorate no longer applies here. Patricians. New policies become available. New privileges become available. Nothing new to do with the peasants. Two stand out there. Anything new? Pastors. Patricians instead of regular nobles, though. How much is this just a relabel? Increased civic engagement. Gain Republic tradition and innovation. This one is almost all upside. Restoring a little bit of patrician power compared to core Republic power, sure. But what if our offices were hereditary by law? Perhaps sanctified by some sort of chosen line of get out, push him off the sea, off the cliff into the sea. Land rights, fiefs, noble navy. Recognized communes, prosperity in exchange for control, and decentralization. We're good on that front. We could ditch admiral elections at some point now that we are fully shifted over. That can stay for now. So, new laws. Curtail. Back to auto-managing tax. Gold. The vault devastated. What do we do now for our succession? The laws are still the same. They found another Brunswick? It's looking like some consequence of this has caused the economy to implode. Interesting. Favor the wealthy, strong guilds. Area trade routes, anti-piracy. Orders, coins. Nothing else has been forced to change over there. Oh, the big drop in legitimacy would also be hitting that. Let's see. Let's look at the overall balance sheet then. Stability price went up. In a feedback loop from our poor tradition, our tradition being at half right now. I just skim that back down. Placeholding. And yeah, focus on cost of court. Gotta repaint all the offices. Stabilize later. What noble buildings do we get now? Republic Assembly, House of Parliament. Still restricted for want of a gold bar. New policy available. The laws could be justice. There's the presence of the Sardinian colony here. They might be more defeatable. Closer to our weight class. Duke of Cagliari, you have 400,000 people, nearly 200 tax base, 11,000 soldiers. Mostly potential levies. Some regulars. Only 4 boats. We could take them in a boat fight, maybe. Portugal ought to have a substantial navy. Yeah, 42 ships active. Unless they have allies going. Possible we could declare and fight and win a war. Some sort. Unless he is some sort of friend of all of Europe. Would have to be part of like some sort of holy order of like all of Germany and Italy. Are they a member of the Empire? Probably a map for it. Diplomacy or governments? What languages? Ought to be one in here somewhere for, whoa, map rotation. Dangerous. Just the angle of the land. that wide field of view. And alright, while allowing the wheels to spin. View in detail here. I wanted to create a CV. Need spies, and I would need to put the spies in Europe. Continue to grumble about hypothetical war plans while waiting for the wheels to spin. Okay, it is because Emperor Philip is... He just directly is this part of a union? Guy. Yeah. King of Aragon and Cagliari. Aragon is in the Empire. There it is. There's the UI element for it. No, that just says you're in the church. And the union. Okay, Cagliari itself is in the Empire. So that will remain a problem. Though, how many ships does the Emperor have? They remembered to declare war on the sea. They don't spend enough on intimidating Poseidon. He might not let them out. Only 84 local militia, fighting over 5,000. Yeah, the big land militia would be able to take them in a fight just on their own without needing our direct support. Our main job would be to have the fleet run interference against any intercept force. That might be a plan for next century. For now, a solid core stance of sitting quietly on the sidelines, as has held through the past many centuries, still seems like the right answer here to the wars ongoing. And with the little winter on stressing the budget. Yeah, the Little Ice Age. The age of little ice. There's hardly any ice. It's fine. This is moving along steadily at a point a month. Nice. The last Duke of Greenland. Okay, we still have rule for life for now as our election policy. Currently, Krobjarts, very popular in the polls. South New England, named such ironically by the Scots who have claimed it. Alright, we have a much firmer battle line now, and Genoa standing out. Protestant Genoa. Possibly acting as a bit of a spoiler. How hot are these wars of religions right now? Protestant League, led by England. Fine for Olsen. the colossal pillar of research is continuing to trudge along pretty steadily. Oh, hold on, this also released the existence of a bunch of other tech hidden away at the other end of the chart. Somehow proceed to have not yet invented how to election. We'll figure that out 100 years from now. Convene the thing. Sponsored for taking a prosperity hit wasn't enough to push us into devastation anywhere. Two institutions trying to arrive, so how about I flip you working on that. Budget thoroughly stabilized. To cut any deals for trade's sake. Trade is suitably popular in the thing. Another year of effort, and we'll be like the Republic has always been this way. all the markets we know. Oh wait, we have access to West African markets now. There are just gold mines out there. We send an expedition to parts unknown in search of a single bar of gold. Create the 300 patrician jobs that ought to exist in the capital. The land is big, but it's more of a blue than a green. Things are easily mistaken. Will it be impossible to have enough gold in the market because the patricians will immediately start smuggling it back out again? Or grab it off the ground and eat it. It's all getting minted into coins. So bring in more. We finally have a place willing to send reliable gold convoys. Okay, just about fully legitimized. Resume stability spending. The moment there is gold in the market, the burghers begin smuggling the gold back out of the market. Gold cannot exist in this land. Gold rapidly sublimates on contact with the land. Fascinating alchemic phenomena. Unique properties of the Arctic climate. Anyone wishing to observe this phenomena themselves should gather as much gold as they can and get on a boat. Headed for the Greenland, count your teeth before you arrive. This is the only question you will be asked in customs. If you cannot account for your teeth, there will be consequences. Now that we're no longer colonizing or exploring, everything can be focused on more important internal affairs. Proper development of the land. And we might even build more villages. What place is the least unavailable for peasants right now? Kettlesfjord is only at a deficit of 500. So they have a lot of wool farm to finish building up. We could have better education for Hedwig. Give her the books. Teach her the wood math. 23 stability. I'll let the core finish reading of the sciences on their own. That brings the cost quite low. Yes, Lake Victoria. Why do we call it that? Is someone fighting over this lake? Is this the lake for sporting? Could it become a lake for sporting? Who is this Victory Lady, and why is her name everywhere? What fight did she win? If the priests want any cathedra, they can pay for them themselves. And the market food supply is continuing to endure. As long as it's mostly full at the start of winter, that means we're keeping pretty even. Little settlement is the weak point in our food supply, having only these fish. Oh good, our spies would work faster if they had anywhere to go. Had everything in Age of Reformation already. Over here in the world of absolutism, I could start pruning the tree. Or no, that's everything is lit up because it is in the queue. here, can't really judge. Prerequisite relationships. Like, okay, I can cut powder flask. Everything behind that. Prowl, Galleon, or Galleon. Yeah. A chamber for cannons? Why? Merchant stuff behind the gun workshop. Much easier to compete in trade negotiations when you have 2 guns. Barracks and pikemen can wait. Well, Pistolier. Pistolier has tax efficiency boost. It is much easier to collect taxes when you have a pistol. Also road discounts. We could tolerate many cultures using the flintlock. Guarantee in the charter that all people will have access to at least one arquebus. Cannons, shipyards, naval batteries, and brigs. Those are all relevant. Mercenaries and supply depots and combined arms bonuses. Cut that. Whole shop, beer shop. Lead, yes. Lottery and glass, yes. Gems, subject income, food production, RGO size, institute growth. We already have squares. What's so different about the shapes is the same everywhere. That's the whole point of math. What do you mean Spain has a different square? That can't be right. Some sort of prank. We have neither alum nor pearls. Law efficiency, pop promotion, distillery. One could distill the potat from the New World. If only potato could survive on our shores. Alas, they are too green. Full training cost. Ambitions. An empire. High networks, intelligence, leather, cloth, fine cloth. Port authority, dyes, trade routes, maintenance, furniture. Yeah, those are all relevant. Things inside of global trade. Trade maintenance and customs. And in the time this is taken to cycle, nothing is on fire. And instead I can commission another length of paved road. Q down to 109. How far we've traveled so far. Big pile. 3 cities, furniture, fleets. That all makes this passive the cut. So, confessions. Clergy rights. Vote. Caliber standardizing. Galleus. We don't use rowing ship. Persian prestige. Minting. Tolerance. Tax collecting. Counter espionage. The Prince. Someday we will read this book. Art skill, subject opinion, life expectancy. Yeah, that's... Tragically, we've no mercury. Or things to refine with the mercury. Construction and road work, though. Always important. Walls, operation, crown power, and Supreme Court. Any residual discovery stuff. No, this is the stuff that was recently. That was unlocked because we flipped to the public. And we haven't popped open science yet. The factory has yet to arrive. Another couple of years to get science to finish propagating through the core. Young Gunhild. Take the sword. Finally relent and build a castle. Build multiple castles and then deactivate some of them. Fully demolished some of them. Yeah, we just have the one tangible fortress. Everything's over in Bigland. Yeah, they still only have their gravel. We have most of a gravel network. A few missing stretches. The lake is helping to compensate for that. It's their control and proximity situation like? Not bad. Interior would be terrible for them, but they have adequate control. They're managing keep up the pace on the charter. Despite being afflicted. They do alright for themselves over there. You sure of that? There are all manner of anomalies in how the population is counted. Mysteries abound. Sir, do you have an up-to-date log of persons? You keeping the scrolls? Very good, sir. He knows the names of all the families. He has a system. We have capacity for an 8th boat. Boats need cannon these days? Can't you just build the hull and put the cannon on later? Go find some cannon laying around. Oh, of course, we need some manner of gunsmith's guild. Larger gun. Gun 2. Trade capacity has grown quite a bit. It is managing to stay pretty well stocked. Okay, manufacturing has gotten its initial hook in. Propagation will continue. I simply create guilds and task the burghers with figuring out their own supply lines. Some of these things remain viable. Impressive statues would generate more rock. Impressive statues. Strengthening the central government. Stonks. There's road tier 3. Right behind the idea of, wait, what if we make like good maps? With math? With numbers? Our current map making techniques include geometry? Should they? Okay, the development and construction benefits of all roads is the same. Only the other 3 stats that improve. Boosting trade volume should have some pretty immediate and drastic effects. Subject before the thing. Does anyone like this guy? Is Omar doing a good job? No one voted to put Omar on the chair. Would you vote to keep Omar on the chair? so we produce cannon. Just barely. So we can produce ship. Just barely. Gold supply remains stuck at equilibrium. Core difference mechanically for Republic versus Monarchy is the succession. That instead of having a ruling dynasty and a bloodline that needs to be tracked, there's some manner of elective system in place. Where we have started with, alright, leaders still rule for life, but on death, popularity score of other characters decides who goes in the chair. If the Walrus can get enough votes in the thing, then they could be made captain. You know, that might demonstrate that admiralty succession doesn't work in our context. Or, okay, it means that your electability weightings are changed to, okay, are they skilled? Do they have a boat? Do they not have a boat? Get out of here. So we can effectively break the election by deciding who gets to stand on the boat. It's only in the event that we had multiple fleets in parallel that there would be a contest. Now let's just go ahead and check if that is the case. No, the oligarchy. This robe yard. Seems to have done something odd to our laws. Unless, like, oligarch election overrode admiral election, I would have to repass admiralty law in order to get that back in charge. Strange. We are otherwise stabilized, so I can consider flipping this to something else. We let the peasants inherit land. Will they stay on the land instead of fleeing into the city? Instead of vanishing into the mines? Transport code, though. We standardize the roads. Shipyards. Less proximity through port. 0.1 harbor capacity everywhere. Official weights and measures. We create the standard tooth that all others must be calibrated off of. That's the kind of stuff to draft when we get more slots. Yeah, Shipyards keeps in the spirit of this being a boat-related law. And it's relevant to how the whole place operates. I must need that secondary research to unlock the concept of different election laws, and maybe Admiralty law would then swoosh in there. These things that, why are these inside of a law and not inside of a technology and not just fundamental properties of that government? We have formed the Publica. What's it about, though? What is it about? Who is the public? We've heard it mentioned in the scrolls. What is it really? The soundtrack for this is very effectively doing its job of being there, sustaining mood. You tune it out while you're in the midst of the session doing things, and then after the session is over, you hear the bells, the horns. Sorry, answer. Camera's haunted. You have defeated the ghost. Yeah, right, we can get saltpeter from beef and pottery. Once I'm able to found more towns, relieve the strain on the existing towns and their guilds. Or, you know, if a few 100,000 refugees were to dive into the sea and begin the long swim toward freedom. Embrace. Science. Diplomatic range, the impossible number. Using science, we can try to invent a better pigeon. Send out a voyage to collect detailed samples of all forms of pigeon in every land and compare their various traits. Attempt to discern the origins of the properties of birds. Properly get right back into slamming everything onto the tree. One of our gold trades disbanded. I'll throw even more power into the auto trade. Oh, let's see. You have any policy recommendations? You're very well informed about the economy. He has so many facts and figures. There's nowhere we could install the back. We can install Plague. Plague is available in your area. We do have the hospital. It's over there hospitalizing. Seems to be doing the job well enough. Alright, while this continues to process. Miscellaneous thought in mind. Considerations most easily resolved. going over and grabbing a physical globe. Important feature of any home. A wildly out of date, aged and weathered globe. On which to just go ahead and observe, and then attempt to size compare the Greenland land. Okay, it is quite long north to south, even when properly rotated. The north shore of Greenland is up past the 80 mark of degrees. I gotta go ahead and put some coordinate on this. South tip of the island is around 60 north. Gotham is around 65. Bit less than 65. Hold on, it's like... Yeah, Gotham is just slightly below the Arctic Circle proper. Well, fairly so. And then... Oh... Squint at the place names on this globe. Versus, well, right, Gotham is our farthest west. There are habitations on the land. Out there. In the present day. Just a few. But yeah, so like this stretch of the coast is going to be a vertical. The overall shape of that area is also kind of distorted by being on this map. Maybe? Hard to tell. But that can be gauged well enough to at least just kind of lay a thumb upon the map and be like, alright, that is how wide this stretch of Greenland is meant to be. Is larger than Iceland. Comparable in size to Iceland, which is itself comparable in size to Ireland. Right, important arbitrary cartographic benchmark. It is smaller than France. We are less than one France wide, from end to end. I have a feeling that the shape of the map data, though, means that crossing France may be... It may not be as distorted as it would look. Gotta lay that against a UI element to compare. Consult the orb. Yeah, the distortion may not be too bad. Maybe they used one of the good projections. You know, the good map projection that exists somewhere. The one that sacrifices things you don't care about. In favor of things that you do. Is pleasing to the orb. Alright, other comparisons to make. nearer by. Yeah, our stretch of Greenland is probably larger or about the same size end to end as, like, long-wise of Newfoundland. It is an about equal amount of coast as the Bigland. That kind of lines up. Simply forever baffle, what is diplomatic range measured in? Why is 2,000 of it worth less than 1,000 of trade range? Or naval range? Alright, glad. It's observing the globe. That's the Earth, sir. They call it dirt, although it is mostly water. Or at least in a stretch of text that does things that are mostly immediately relevant. The eternal research backlog can continue. Vladimir getting pretty wide over there. Long Kiev remaining strong. They've been slowly eroding. Or, hold on, Moscow has been making some plays. Moscow might be up to some serious business. Somehow. disconnected from everything else they own. Select provinces have almost recovered the 1,000 peasants needed for internal migration. Some. People have spoken. They crave lead. Lead is too far under the earth. Must be set free. That's what a cabinet laws do, as we continue to occasionally celebrate a notable art escaping containment. Traditionalist by increasing clergy. Centralize. Merit. Merit it is. Okay, all the colonial governments are republic by default. Novgorod continues to endure. Otherwise, things are still predominantly very crown. Borrow some money to save Gil and his research. Bring only the greenest of minds here. Pillar of scientific progress. Center of enlightenment. Greenland. exporting thousands of tons of teeth. And our apothecary, using the good recipe. A lot of research into finding alternative solvent to better release the power of the teeth.
Beep.
Martin Luther has been dead for 125 years. Siglafjord is still doing overseas for its distance. That might be a function of it having better harbor because it is a town. Market access of exactly non-zero. The village is providing just the slightest bit of local trade. Ships do contain some rats. 55 more years of double winter. Clearly doing fine so far. Cutting edge naval maneuvers. Using high-frequency oscillations, we can shake the barnacles off of the hull while underway at speed. You know, how government structures work in this, there's no, like, built into it, like, discrete flavors of Republic, by the look of it. Instead, the differentiation happens in your choice of main policies. So for now, we're some manner of... we're the Thessalocracy of some sort. We're a nautical oligarchy. The fleet of Greenland. Yes. Discuss pavement at the thing. Tax breaks for commoners. This will pass the bill. Take out a good old-fashioned road building loan. Connect. Einers Fjord. One more is needed to connect Einers Fjord. Roads. I'm so smooth. Commoners in aggregate have nearly as much money as the brokers. The gap in tradition drastically spikes up our stability cost. Who is Pencil? What claim has he to these woods? Look at what more of the RGOs are like out here. Someone has brought chili to Acadia. Okay, someone has brought chili to Newfoundland. You sure about that? Where they keep the maize. sheep vine. Just got mud laying around. Don't even have to work for it. Just scoop it up off the ground. Free mud. Loss of that refugee event to the wooden singularity. Certainly tragic. Do you agree, sir? Do you grieve for the numbers unrealized? Hello, sir. Did it upset you that my hand left your peripheral vision for a moment? Well, now you are closer to me. Alright. Even deeper. Yeah, it's fine. It'll just take a while to clear. The latest in philosophical treatise from the University of Garther. That funding, hard at work. What prosperity does Garther have right now? 67. And they recover quite rapidly. Glad. Grassel. People, we are short on food for the winter. Then you ask them, why not dig up the shark that you buried in the sand in the fall? You buried a shark this year, right? It's these days. They don't ferment the shark. How do they expect to get by? This is causing population growth to slow down. The pressure is being felt. Be another 25% trade range will let us finally yell at Iceland again. Terrible, eternal, fixed quantity of peasants that can never improve. The price of prosperity. we've been overbuilt on villages for the entire duration of the campaign. The existence of peasant jobs does not obstruct peasants from running away. Okay, is anyone working at this fishing village that we're subsidizing? 4 people. Causing us to pay the entire cost of the subsidy for 100% of the village. Less than 25 coin for a rank of village. Powerful stuff. Since real trade ports became a thing. The concept of the subsidized fishing villages kind of died off as a use case. The unbreakable hyperabundance of fish. Yeah, so Mexico remains pretty unconquered as far as we can see. Yeah, continuing to exist. Hold the ground. Do their own thing. Some institutions have made their way into Maya? Okay, they're pretty well up to date. They're as up to date as we are in terms of institution adoption. Okay, yeah, the upgrades do change out what the available production methods are, causing the building to improve. We're now 37% developed. Maybe less until we get that sorted out. Alright, do we need those coins now for... for debt repayment? Yeah, let's go for like half of minting capacity. Paraguay, the French Dominion. And there are still some small independent states. Oh, that one's the viceroy. That's part of the viceroy of Peru. Ah, the elective regency. Okay, when fourth will vote be called? Okay, so we get to pick from the top 3 candidates. Why do we care who this man marries? Also, he's 60. He doesn't have much time left to generate new bastards. over the next century, we'll probably find the money and the people to get the 2 remaining towns installed. City of Garther isn't as far away as it could be. The auto trade is doing a good enough job of making money. We pay our way through the winters. Small bites out of the loan. Yes, good. Immediate technological benefit. Double the power of the lead mine. Everyone loves this. Oh, time for many of these to hit renewal. Get to take out one of them. And what they're permitting, that's like a decade of repayment. The kind of cash flow that we get during the good harvest months. Okay, and if I build the print shop, it eats the scriptorum. Yeah, I'd largely finished setting up the shift to Republic at the end of last session. That all went off after the crisis of absolutism was resolved. We have decisively surpassed Iceland. Hold on, what happened to you over there? plague great event struck the iced land over here. Oh, do you not have, like, a plan to keep people fed during a double winter? Little iced land can't take a little iced age? Alright, how many other countries are being struck with the great skill issue? Scotland doesn't seem to be feeling it too bad. England has a bit of a notch missing there. Hale is doing fine. France? There's a bit of a plateau going, but that might also be influenced by the ongoing incident in the interior. Yeah, big mystery what that spike over there is. That might be some kind of statistical error. Either that or they, like, briefly annexed and then de-annexed a big slice of territory. Yeah, the two Sicilies. They should perhaps be discussing whether they should add another Sicily. If new Sicilies can be formed. These loans will ride for a while. They will face a couple of renewal cycles. A recovery spiral is underway. To review our nearby colonial situation. England has Greater Acadia here, and they went far north to Baffin. Sweden has the interior stretch starting at the Vinland. Portugal snuck in to take the small islands. And the main contender here is Scottish America. A few small inclusions sent from Cagliari, Sardinia. This was yes, this is Sicilian, Texas. Portugal and Sicily with more interests around the opening of the Mississippi. Mexico largely unsubjugated, and then starting here south. Well, okay, there's Castile here, and then there's a lot of France in South America. Who wound up with the Caribbean? That is Genoan, Cuba. More to be revealed as the map eventually osmoses its way over. Yeah, there we go. Putting this to culture mode. We have France. Okay, there's Catalan down in Argentina. Syrians. Poland, Portuguese, Sardinian. Map of more typical levels of peasantry. As opposed to our situation. On the thing. Great subsidized counting units. Would be nice to have somewhere to house all the counting. Since days of Eld, we have so many more things to count. Count those flowers. We'll create more persistent demand for gold, by which to do the counting. Just a few hundred cash worth of road left to take. In the core, and then still ever more beyond. You don't even have basic furniture shops running yet. Port authority is of use. This stuff down here is worth getting through those privateer techs. Probably. Alright, now we even have budget surplus through the winter again. Slapped with another loan in order to pay for that counting house. It's discounted from what it would have been. The occasional setback, the recovery spiral will continue. There is growth. Steady, undeniable internal growth. $75 months. Or 6 and a quarter years. 6 to 7 years-ish. To get currency back to its base valuation. Then minting will be able to dial back up again. Our effective control here is quite good now. often are these so-called wars of religion generating an actual war? You'd best be fighting right now. Fill up with Tübingen. Upper Bavaria. Upper Bavaria, are you running any wars? Currently, no. Yeah, good. Yeah, we're getting relevant imports of raw materials from our nearer neighbors in the colonial markets. It'll be another handful of years to clear that debt, and then investment can resume in all manner of things. It's all good news for Greenland. With the occasional setback. There is the inevitable upward spiral. Okay, Bigland is doing alright for itself. Over 500,000 people. Swedish Super Canada is steadily making its way inland. But Kanehara remains. They took another big hit to their population. Could have been plague, could have been war, could have been the double winter. You hate to see it. Finally have a reason to maybe try to steal their maps. Just to find out what's happening in there. So each of these gets taken out by 3 months of summer. Clear multiple per year. Then the abundance. A Netherlands has formed. Another surviving holdout. Up in the hills. We still possess no useful options for rivals. Also, I'm For whatever it might be worth in deterrence, I'm guaranteeing. The true Canada. The inner Canada. Yeah, might be on course to defeat all of these before any of them renew again. Yes, we're 3 years out for the closest ones. Three to 4 year span. There's none of them left. Yeah, that largely adds up. These loans were for various. Some discounted pavement. A lot of events to throw money at universities for research points. Factories. Pretty well arrived. That's a worthwhile diversion. This also stands out as bizarre within how this whole tech tree is put together. Here I am in a position to be able to unlock, like, skip layers of upgrade on some of the workshops. I expect what would result is I would be blocked from upgrading the building until I also researched the middle step. Stands out as bizarre. That's even the way that they're fit together. Something that's sure to drastically mutate as the life cycle continues. Still another 47 years of winter. And in keeping with the ways of the glacier, shall be endured. Pull things forward a little further. I can kill another lone. Yeah, and each of those defeated is another dime of monthly interest. The UI struggling valiantly against 3.5 hours of uptime. Steadily, ever scraping toward the sea.